Okay, guys, so this is language. Language for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm going to just kind of go through everything for you guys. So let's look up here at the board. And I have some sentences written on the board. So one thing that you must understand, you don't need your language books right now. So one thing you must understand is that every sentence is made up of two parts. It's made up of a subject part and a predicate part. So what are the two parts of a sentence? The subject and the predicate. I want you to say predicate 5 times. Predicate, 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 predicate. No, you do it. So 5 times, that is the word predicate and the subject part. So we're going to talk about those two parts. So the subject part of the sentence always tells who or what the sentence is about. And then the predicate part of the sentence always tells us what the subject part did. It tells us something about the subject or about the subject part of the sentence. So let's look at our first sentence on the board. The quick-witted shortstop threw the ball. So who or what is this sentence about? It is about the quick-witted shortstop. And what did the shortstop do? He threw the ball. So we just divided our sentence into its subject and its predicate. The subject part of the sentence is the quick-witted shortstop. It tells us who or what the sentence is about. And what did he do? He threw the ball. That is the predicate part of our sentence. Let's look at our next sentence. The great fish swallowed Jonah. Who or what is our sentence about? It's about the great fish. And what did that great fish do? He swallowed Jonah. So we just divided our subject or our sentence into two parts, the subject and the predicate. Our next sentence, the temperature dropped to 40 degrees. Who or what is our sentence about? It's about the temperature. And what exactly did that temperature do? It dropped to 40 degrees. So we divided our sentence into its two parts, the subject and the predicate. Our next sentence, Lindsay collects postage stamps. Who or what is our sentence about? Well, it's about Lindsay. And what exactly does Lindsay do? She collects postage stamps. There's one last sentence here. Mrs. Stevens smiled and applauded for her class. So who or what is our sentence about? Well, it's about good old sweet Mrs. Stevens. And what exactly did Mrs. Stevens do? She smiled and applauded for her class. So we just divided that sentence into its two parts, the subject and the predicate. We didn't mark Lindsay collects postage stamps. Lindsay is our subject part of the sentence. Collects postage stamps is the predicate part of our sentence. Now, we are going to be talking about verbs today. There are actually 8 different parts of speech. We're going to learn all 8 parts of speech this year, but the one that we are starting with today, the one we are starting with, I think my daughter's having her baby. The one we are starting with today is the, let me get focused back, is the verb. I'm sorry, guys. I'm bringing it back home. My grandma instincts are taking over. Okay. Is the verb. So that's what we're talking about. So the verb of a sentence is always found in the predicate part of the sentence. So if we look at the predicate part of the quick-witted shortstop threw the ball, what word in there is something that you could stand up and do? Yes, you could stand up and throw the ball. So threw is the verb in our sentence. Remember, the verb is always found in the predicate. And then we could say, well, who or what threw that ball? And who threw the ball? The shortstop. So shortstop would be the subject in our sentence. So this is the subject part of the sentence. All of that is the subject part, the quick-witted shortstop. But if you're asked just to find the subject of the sentence, we would just say shortstop. And what did the shortstop do? He through. So shortstop is our subject and through is our verb. So of course your subject is always found in the subject part of your sentence. On the next sentence, the great fish swallowed Jonah. So let's look in the predicate part of our sentence and find our verb. Which one of those two words is something that you can do? Well, of course, swallow. So swallow would be our verb. We would underline it twice. And we would say, who or what swallowed? So out of the subject part of our sentence, what would answer that question? Who or what swallowed? It would be fish. So we would underline that one time because that is our subject. Swallowed is our verb. Remember, the verb is always found in what part of the sentence? In the predicate part of the sentence. The subject is always found in the subject part of the sentence. So let's look at our next sentence. The temperature dropped to 40 degrees. We're going to go to the predicate part of our sentence and find our verb. Dropped to 40 degrees. Which one of those words is something that can happen as an action or something you could even do? You couldn't drop the temperature, but you could drop, right? So dropped is our verb. Who or what dropped? Temperature. So temperature is the subject of our sentence. Temperature dropped. Look at our next sentence. Lindsay collects postage stamps. We're going to find our verb in the predicate part of our sentence. Collects postage stamps. What is a word that shows action there? What's something you can do? It is collects. And who or what collects? Lindsay does. Lindsay is the subject part of our sentence. And then in our last sentence, Mrs. Stevens smiled and applauded for her class. So smiled and applauded is the predicate part of our sentence. We're locating our verb. So what is something that you could do in the predicate part of our sentence? You could smile, but you could also and applaud. So smiled and applauded is our verb. This is called a compound verb. It's more than one verb. So when you have a compound verb,